Hey guys, Marsengan here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at the Team Bardock EZA, finally going to be available on JP. Finally, the last copy of them is available to rainbow them from missions. This unit is, what, like 4 years in the making or something crazy? They didn't have any dupes, I think, available when they first came out, or at least the first one came out shortly after their release. Then it took some time, but as I'm sure you know at this point, you know, most of us had this unit sat there at 90% for the longest time. The unit became very, very outdated before we even got this final copy, but of course they have dropped the final copy along with an EZA. So we are going to be checking them out over here. This is going to be an interesting one because they're not on a lot of teams. In terms of 200% teams, we've got the Tech Bardock, we've got Physical Turles, the AGL Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta from the second Cooler movie from the Worldwide. There's one other one that I've now forgotten, but not exactly the greatest. So we're going to be running the Team Bardock team here, just because that's what their passive is sort of built around. There is this rumor, of course, with an update to part of AGL Bardock's script that he could be getting his EZA as part of the upcoming celebration, or it could just be in there a little bit early and it could be coming for Saiyan Day. The funny thing is, of course, AGL Bardock isn't on Team Bardock, so he's not even a buff for these guys, which is kind of funny. Because when we take a look at them, obviously here, you know, it's all in Japanese, so I've got the details up here on the side. But they now greatly raise attack and defense on both of their supers, so that is good. They do Colossal and then Mega Colossal from the 12 to 18 key. Their 18 key also raises Superclass allies' attack by 30% for 1 turn, which is cool. I believe they had that before, but it's a nice little buff. The problem is, of course, if they're not good in slot 1, then, you know, this unit's probably going to be a floating support unit. So it's kind of annoying that they didn't, with the EZA, make that attack support like 2 turns or something. Because, like I say, their main role is really going to be a floating support unit if they get any use at all. So their passive, key 3, attack and defense 100%, additional attack 50 when launching a super, additional defense 50% and launch an additional super if there's another Team Bardock ally attacking in the same turn, superclass allies attack and defense 50%, and then key 1 up to 5 and additional attack and defense 20% up to 100% for each Team Bardock category ally. So they're very much reliant on running Team Bardock allies, and Team Bardock is not exactly in the greatest place in the meta. So we've jumped into the Red Zone Freezer, Golden Freezer, the final stage of the new Movie Bosses 2 Red Zone. I like using this stage now to test out units. Obviously we tried out Tech Bardock in yesterday's video regarding units surviving the anniversary power creep against Blue Zone Gogeta, and he of course wasn't the craziest in that event, but we'll see how we get on here. So we've got Team Bardock, Saiyan Pride, Saiyan Warrior Race, Saiyan Lineage and Prepared for Battle on this rotation. Tora is giving support as well, so they do have 400k defense start of turn. Again, this kind of contributes to what I'm saying, right? They're not going to be a slot 1 unit with 400k defense. Like, we can kind of get away with it on this turn, right? But that means when we get our first super attack, they're going to go up to 600k. And then if we can get another super, they'll be at like 900, which means they're still not going to be tanking like big super attacks. I basically just gave them full dodge and then the rest in additional, in the hopes that we can get that second super attack. So we'll see how this plays out. The interesting thing about this event, of course, as well, is I purposely didn't bring a Goku on the team to trigger Bardock's intro animation. That's 12 million attack stam. That's not bad. Yeah, to not trigger Bardock's entrance animation, because it means it will go off when we get to the actual freezer phase. And so then, of course, we will have the turns of the scouter for a little bit longer, right? So we get the additional, like I say, that puts us up to like 900k, and then we get another additional, so that puts us up to like 1.3 million, right? Because I've been led to believe recently, right, that the super attack buff is the percentage of what their defense is at the time that they super, right? So if they got a buff from their first super, the total that it is then is what they get the buff for from their second super. Otherwise, it would be 200k per super attack. So they would still be at 1 million, but only after a triple super. Which, I mean, you know, they're going to tank like all normals in the game, which is fine for a slot 3 support unit. You just have to be very, very careful about them potentially eating a super attack. So if we do... I need to make sure there's the rainbow... Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter this early on. I was going to say make sure there's the rainbow orbs for Bardock, but he doesn't really need all the extra stats right now. So we'll go ahead and do this. Ideally, we want to get past this turn. I mean, this works quite nicely for this setup because we can have... By not having the scouter turns running out, because we didn't get the intro animation yet, it doesn't really matter if it takes a couple of turns for this first part. Farsha obviously needs to get hit a few times to get built up. She has guard for the first couple of turns so she can take those hits. And then the next phase, Frieza is int. So even if she hadn't taken all of her hits, she can take them like against him, and that'll get her to be fully built up. So that works out relatively well. Of course, Bardock here, no links active because of the being next to the other Bardock, but it is what it is. Alright, so we'll finish these guys off on the next turn. You're stunned. So if we get... If Farsha dodges an attack in slot 1, she obviously gives that extra support, although we don't have the Tora support here now. So if we go ahead and do that... I mean, you can see with the Bardock allies and everything, right, we're starting off the turn with having, what, 21 key. So the biggest problem is going to be running them off of a Team Bardock team, where they're going to lose a huge amount of their stats, which just seems kind of... seems very counterproductive, right? Like, Team Bardock would need to get a huge amount of buffs. Like, Saiyan Day could be a new Bardock, but with all the things that we've been speculating... Yeah, 13.2 with that support from Farsha, that's pretty good. With all the things that have been speculated for the potential for Saiyan Day, even if it was like... Let's say it was like a Goku and Bardock, or let's say it was a new standalone Super Saiyan Bardock, those units aren't going to be on Team Bardock, because the Super Saiyan versions of him aren't. Because obviously Team Bardock is just before the Bardock special, right? So the one from the TV special, not on there. So I just realised the game audio has been muted. It should be on now. So yeah, now we get the intro animation. I do quite like this. I'd forgotten this was a thing, and then I remembered about the when the Great Ape Vegeta and Kaioken Goku came out. You could get their intro animation later on in a stage if the Goku or Vegeta was a later boss. So this does work out quite nicely because now we have the Scouter, which allows us to play this out. Actually, this works out quite nicely, as long as he's not supering in that middle slot. Yeah, there we go. So we can do that. We can get all the orbs for you. Floating off the in the physical Bardock as well, so he didn't come back too early, because physical LR Bardock does get that one crazy like big hit turn when you're fighting a Frieza, so I wanted him to come back a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, you can see immediately how, you know, this Team Bardock team has aged. Farsha was never the craziest summonable unit even when she came out, but she is probably the best unit on the team outside of like the LR Bardock. I mean, I guess Tech Bardock for the most part is obviously better than her, but yeah, her with type advantage taking 220k from the super from Int Frieza. Imagine what she would take from like the AGL Golden Frieza, which is the actual difficult stage, right, out of this Red Zone Golden Frieza stage. So that'll be interesting. This stage can be stunned though, which is good. So the only downside, of course, means that we won't get the buff for... Farsha getting a dodge. So 345k. We are going to have legendary power active on this turn though. A little bit of extra attack. So if we do this, and then this, and then yeah, Bardock of course gets that one big turn against Frieza. So he's going to be full key. He's going to do a lot of damage here because Team Bardock of course are going to attack first and give him his buff, which will be very interesting. I think that is the biggest thing that they missed out on, right? Is this unit, if they're going to get any use at all, would be a third slot floating support, and then that super attack effect of them giving allies extra attack is completely pointless because it's not going to affect anyone. It absolutely should have been for 2 turns. Why they couldn't have just made, like, you know, why give them Team Bardock allies as the way to get them extra stats instead of like pure Saiyans or something? Because then you could potentially argue them having a spot on a team with a bunch of Pure Saiyans as a support unit, because they're giving Superclass allies 50% attack and defense, which is a good support buff. You know, and if they're getting that additional super from the passive and the hidden potential, they can get 3 supers in 1 turn. So they can look relatively good. Oh, is he's super attacking as the first attack. Oh, but of course Bardock doesn't have, his active skill doesn't have a, isn't an action break, is it? I don't think. This would have been the perfect time for his active skill to be an action break. I mean, it's going to be a long time coming because he's not a super old unit. He came out a year ago on Global, like yesterday. But his EZA obviously has the potential to be very good because of the Scouter and everything. But, oh boy. Yeah, 436k. I'm pretty sure he's just cooked in slot 1 here. I mean, we can get the 3 orbs, so that obviously he has the little bit of extra stats. But even with type advantage, I'm pretty sure he dies to Freezer here. So, I guess we can do this. And then we just have to do this. But, yeah, we probably die. So, I mean, Team Bardock, not exactly the craziest team. I did give my Bardock on here full dodge, but this did not come through. 562. So, I mean, on this team, did we have 562 if we were at full HP? I mean, I guess that's not terrible considering the rotation with no support. I mean, I'm not going to cap for Bardock, obviously, you know, type advantage, but he's not a slot 1 unit, no support on the rotation. But, I mean, let me know what you guys think, because he's getting, we saw their start of turn defense. That's with them getting basically 100% extra attack and defense in their stats because we had a full Team Bardock team. So if you put them on a team with no other Team Bardock allies at all, then their start of turn defense was going to be at what, like somewhere between 150 to 180k, which then means that even after a double super, they're still going to be at what, like 300 and something k defense maximum, which is really just not good enough. Very baffling, of course, that like the free-to-play, I mean, Beerus is okay, the Int Freezer not so much, but like the free-to-play EZAs that have dropped during the anniversary, like these guys technically come out after the anniversary is over, really, but clearly these guys were designed by a different team of people that made the summonable unit EZAs, right? Because, like I say, we waited 4 years for this. I mean, come on, they could have made these guys so much better without making them like game-breakingly stupid, right? Give their support 2 turns in slot 3. Give them some sort of damage reduction or dodge. Like, give them decent stats and then maybe have the Team Bardock, like I say, throw on Pure Saiyans. Make it Team Bardock all Pure Saiyans. Give them a little bit of extra stats and then, like, say, 5% reduction, damage reduction per ally. And then maybe they would be a solid, like, super class support unit. But as it stands right now, unless Team Bardock is going to suddenly get a crazy amount of buffs, I mean, we do still need the EZAs for all the Team Bardock Giant Ape units, and if they planned to make those good, then these guys would obviously be really good on that team. But until then, yeah, definitely a bit of a dud. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.